it's easy to see that with the way my content goes, we usually have 2 or 3 different avenues of approach with the kind of content I react to. Either it's immense brain rot of memes and stupidity, learning about lore and fundamentals of such nature, or appreciating content that is highlighted in a way of that manner. Or the other side, which is, we make our own content, be a bit more transformative. And for today, of those 3 paradigms, we have chosen the learning, more experiential process, something that I can voice my opinion on. You guys seemed to really enjoy when we checked out the cinematics for League of Legends and all that like. So I thought, what better way to pander to the only 2 universes I've ever truly gotten to know. We started with the Riot world with League of Legends cinematics. So why not complete that trifecta -1 with the League of Legends, with World of Warcraft, giving the same treatment of going back in time and really embracing our nostalgia boner and realizing that we have in fact grown old and are slowly aging, and that the inevitability of our demise and being dissolved into the ground and turning into mud is eventually going to happen. That in fact, World of Warcraft is now older than a lot of people in this stream, and I hate it. So whether you like or dislike World of Warcraft doesn't really matter. We're here to appreciate this in the form of cinematic beauty, because no one can ever deny that Blizzard's art department have carried them their entire lives. Back in the day, the cinematics were endeavourably the most... They were peak cinematic. There was no other franchise or studio out there that made better cinematics than Blizzard. So, let's start where it all began, 15 or 16 odd years ago. I would look at the Warcraft 3 and 2 cinematics, but they're just not worth it.
Since the mortal races banded together,
nostalgia.
Stood united against the might.
Like, this was the first thing people saw after Warcraft 3 ended.
Azeroth
and I still remember this to this day.
The tenuous pact between the Horde and the Alliance has all but evaporated.
That music. That's another thing that I think Blizzard do immensely well. Their music department are just mwah. I have all of their OSTs saved on a hard drive somewhere. It's beautiful music, beautiful music. Grizzly Hills music especially. Mike Morheim, I miss you. Bring back the golden years of our Blizzard that we knew. There it is. The face that started the Warcraft. Domine you. I remember seeing this originally. I used to put this on repeat. Like, this came on. I still remember like this was yesterday. This trailer came onto British television after an episode of The Simpsons. And I was there for the debut of that trailer. This played on national television at 7 p.m. back in 2005, around then. But I was there, my sister was watching, my dad and mum were behind us because we'd been watching Simpsons because that was our family time. And then this came on. And at the time, I didn't give a shit about World of Warcraft. But you want to know what the funny thing is? My dad did. My dad bought the game because people at his workplace had started playing. And my dad was trying to be hip with the kids. He played it for 5 minutes and gave his account to me. And that was how my World of Warcraft experience started. But I didn't give a shit about World of Warcraft. I played for like a month, gave up, went and played Gaia Online, and then came back to it like a year later, about like 6 months before Burning Crusade came out. Behold, the elf that started the simping. This, ladies and gentlemen, was where the Rule 34 all began. Gosh. And yet, if they made this cinematic in this day and age, they'd have to cover her tits with fruit. What a shame. Oh, it's so nostalgic. Yes! My undead friends! This is what stole it for me. This right here. This mother friggin' dude right here. Like, I saw the dwarf and I was like, eh. I saw the knight and I was like, But I saw this guy and I knew this. This is when I knew this game was for me. That kind of, like, don't get me wrong, I don't mind, like, the modern iteration of the undead, but this is when things were gritty and very, like, Dungeons and Dragons style. Like, modern World of Warcraft is way too, like, grand. Like, remember, like, World of Warcraft used to be much more indicative of, like, a Dungeons and Dragons aesthetic, as opposed to this, like, celestial, intergalactic warfare thing they've got going. Like, it was so much more D&D than it was anything else. There's the Infernal. Like, League of Legends and the Riot universe has always felt very big in scope, but this was so D&D. League of Legends has never felt Dungeons & Dragons to me. Like, typical fantasy, you know what I mean? Like, League of Legends is very much grand fantasy, whereas this was much more what people knew of fantasy, D&D style. Also, this, Zug, motherfucker. Horde for life, by the way. Horde for life. That mage, though, was pretty badass. Rar XD nuzzles your torrent. And this music, You know, the Alliance are kind of bad, but that mage made me think they were kind of cool. For the Horde, baby! And that's where it all began. That's what started the craze. But for the next several years, it only got better. Because it was followed up by two of the best expansions that ever existed. And to this day, one of my favorite characters, voiced by Richard O'Connell... Richard O'Connell? Liam O'Brien, sorry. I know it's like one of those Irish, Scottish names. Either way, one of my favorite voice actors ever, Liam O'Brien. Illidan. They might have sabotaged his character a little bit in the later cinematics, but still, but to this day, one of the best characters to ever come out of the franchise. Illidan, more like Illidaddy. Ha ha ha. Yeah, baby. Dude, to this day, again, this cinematic, by this point, I'd been addicted to World of Warcraft. I'd shunned my education. I was woefully addicted to World of Warcraft. And I remember when this came out, me and my sister lost our proverbial minds. We saw this and we were freaking ready, dude. This was like, me and my sister, we were always destined to be gamers. But World of Warcraft completely took our ADHD neurodiverse minds and gave us a hyperfixation that we should never have had. I entirely blame World of Warcraft for tanking my grades in high school. And this expansion was why. I took a week off of school because of this.
Imprisoned
for 10,000 years. Betrayed.
Banished from my own homeland. And now you dare come to my realm.
Shivers, dude. I got shivers.
You are not prepared.
He said it! He said the line! You are not prepared. Draenei Daddy. Dude, and it's kind of wild. Even from the first cinematic, they upped the graphic quality so much. I saw this and I was like, dude, you know, I might have to play Draenei. I might have to play Draenei. Back before the internet perversed them into being horsey dicks motherfuckers. And that's the weapon you get from High King Mulgar. The weapon that all of the paladins in tier 4 sought after. As a prot warrior at the time, I still somehow managed to get this weapon. It was terrible for me, and I did absolutely no damage with it, but I looked like a badass. The sex appeal. Because the Horde had to have some kind of elf too, apparently. Although these ones were the slightly more unhinged ones. Man, I wish she'd do that to me. There he is! Naga, more like Nagunt. Man, you remember when Blizzard were not afraid to put blood in their cinematics? You remember when Blizzard actually didn't care for being gritty? Those were the days. Sheep's your cow. Murloc! Yes! Oh, this is such an epic cinematic. La 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 la. Na 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 na. Bear with me now.
You are not prepared.
So good. So good. And just when we had our senses blown out of our butts, they drop what I consider to be my favorite expansion of all of World of Warcraft. And to a degree, there were some that almost lived up, but it wasn't about the gameplay that made this one the most epic. It was the story, it was who was in it, and I was totally there for it. It's a little bit of a shame what they did with the characters from this from this universe, especially with fucking Shadowlands, literally taking a dump on everything that Wrath of the Lich King truly meant. But this was peak World of Warcraft for me. Hi, Dazzy. Also, this was the cinematic that... I mean, the cinematics were good, but this right here was what really made people realize that Blizzard were not to be trifled with their cinematics.
My son.
There he is. There he is.
The day you were born, the very
All that made a good Lich King, though.
Whispered the name
Until he didn't.
Arthus.
Arthus Menethil. No king rules forever. Angel Thump, Angel Thump. Listen to that music.
Child,
God, that friggin' line!
I watched with pride as you grew into a weapon.
What cinematic perfection, though. God damn.
Remember, our line has always ruled with wisdom and strength.
Yeah, Arthus. Wisdom and strength to leave soul damnation alone.
Great power.
God, Jesus. Well, time to summon a dragon. A scene that Game of Thrones would shamelessly steal many years later. Which was the last time anyone ever stole anything from World of Warcraft. There she is. There she is. Dude, 17-year-old Makari shit her pants watching this. Look at that. That's so good. Wow. Even now, dude, shivers. Absolute shivers.
But the truest
So good.
victory, my son, is stirring the hearts of your people.
Ba, 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 ba.
I tell you this, for when my days have come to an end,
You
you shall be king.
Oh, God, yes. God, yes. And you know what? The expansions that came after this weren't terrible, but that was kind of peak for me. And I think it's worth giving a bit of an honorable mention as well to the cinematics that they made for the the re-releases, the classic modes. Because the sad thing is, Blizzard are so more intellectually bankrupt, they can't even make their own cinematics. So they've had to, like, they've basically gotten their fans to do the cinematics for them. I want to show this because it's amazing. These are amazing cinematics. If you've ever watched the Naxxramas by Whirlwind, this guy does amazing work. But these are not made by Blizzard. And it's something to be said for how their fans have to make better cinematics than they do now. So good.
Your first test.
And this and Ulduar were my favorite raids ever put into the game. The perfect balance of difficulty with casuality mixed with interesting dynamics and just god tier enemy types.
Beginning and the end, mortals. None may enter the Master's sanctum. Storm!
Also, putting this boss here was the best thing you could have done. This boss filtered out the idiots who didn't understand not to stand in fire and didn't understand target priority. This boss right here saved so many guilds from bullshit. And then you got followed up by free loot. Like, anyone, if you managed to fail the Zeppelin encounter, you sucked. Only to be followed up by the one encounter, like this, every fight in this raid was immensely difficult. This one, so that first guy I told you about, that was the idiot check. This was the gear check. If you didn't know your rotation, if you didn't have the right gear and you weren't optimized, you'd fail. This was a skill. This is what I mean by perfect setup. Sour fang. And quite possibly one of my favorite random homages of my life. Good news, everybody! The slime is flowing again. Terrible news, everyone! Rotface is dead. But good news is he left plenty of ooze for me to use.
Good news, everyone.
This guy, though?
Don't.
This guy was the equivalent of Cthulhu. This boss was considered unbeatable on heroic mode for the longest of time. This was the boss that killed guilds. Not even mentioning how hard the heroic Lich King fight was. USMP, what's that? And again, just appreciate the animation quality. Like, this is made by one guy, mostly. But again, the fact that, like, a small team can make this versus Blizzard, who can't even be bothered to make their own cinematics anymore, is just baffling. Oh, and Velastraza as well. That fight that made you be like, wait, we have to heal?
You will belong to the Scourge. This is the end.
Arthur,
I'm going to finish what I started.
This dialogue, however. You would have thought they would have learned from Kelthus in Burning Crusade with having exceptionally long dialogues to wind up to a fight. The fact that there was an almost 2-minute unskippable dialogue spiel meant that most of the people in my guild at the time had learned this dialogue off by heart by the time we got there.
That light's hope.
The light won't protect you here, Paladin.
Chill out. So good. Look at him go! Yeah, kick their ass! That's my Lich King. That's my king. I'd follow him. So good.
Face now your tragedy.
Frostmourne hungers. I still remember, to this day, the world first kill of Heroic Lich King by Nihilum had so much controversy that they got their kill taken away from them. Because they were using like a glitch to keep up the outer ring of frost, which trivialized the entire fight. But they were like, yeah, dude, no, we did it. No, you bugged it. And then the rest of the internet were like, no, you bugged it. You bugged it. That doesn't count. Well, maybe if they made the game properly, they wouldn't have abused it. Listen, Darcy, I can't remember what I did 5 minutes ago, but something that I did 10 years ago with a hyperfixation, I can tell you more about World of Warcraft and the shit that I did 10 years ago than I can tell you what I had for dinner yesterday. I have an infinite number of stories, which we might do a story time sometime, about my time leading a heroic raiding guild, about the times that I started some really weird role plays, and there are so many stories I have for World of Warcraft.
Before your king.
Oh, God, that's so good. And I think it's worth, like, just really quickly showing. Like, this is how you do an impactful send-off. I would rather that they didn't even put Arthus into Shadowland the way they did. I would rather this is the way you would have sent him off. I'd talk about, like, having one of the most iconic characters in all of World of Warcraft go out like this is how it's supposed to be done. And I bet you he still didn't drop Invincible. I'm also still very confused why they called him Invincible. If he's supposed to be invincible, why can we see him?
Father, is it over? At long last.
No king rules forever, my son.
I see. Only darkness
Before me.
before me.
Which Blizzard then used as a horrible caveat to say, actually, he saw the Shadowlands. No, he didn't. He was supposed to die. Stop retconning the story, you ignorant pricks, to try and bait off of people's nostalgia. Oh my god. I would rather they just left him there than done what they did to him in Shadowlands. And I'm not even going to ruin your enjoyment by going and showing you that, because that will actually upset me if I show you. Moving on to Cataclysm, which people really didn't like, but I did. I loved Cataclysm. Cinematic was pretty cool as well. Is what I feel trying to deal with the VTube community. Suffering is what I feel watching my Twitter every day. And cringe is what I suffer when I realize that I myself am somewhat associated.
Agony.
These are a few of my favorite things.
Burns through the cavernous deeps.
Bom, bom. I legitimately do think that Cataclysm was very underappreciated. Like Blackrock Mountain? Blackrock Boundary? Blackrock Spire? Blackrock Spire and the Bastion, Shadow Bastion? Bastion of... What was that called again? Shadow Bastion? The first 2 raids of Cataclysm were some of the best I've ever played in terms of mechanical difficulty.
The world heaves with my
Also, the fact that Deathwing was just roaming around, torching things, was so cool.
quake beneath my rage.
Yeah, the middle parts of Cataclysm were kind of eh. But there's our boy. Nanostatic. And see, this is what the reason why these hit so well is because they were grounded, right? They were so grounded. Like they were still in that realm of Dungeons and Dragons and fantasy, and it was all very much about Azeroth and your fight. There wasn't this like galactic nonsense and whatever. This is what made Warcraft so Warcraft.
But at last, the whole of Azeroth will break. And all will burn beneath the shadow of my wings.
There he is. That's your login screen right there. Nice. Which baffles me as to why they've decided to do Cataclysm Classic. Like, Classic for me is Vanilla, TBC, and Wrath of the Lich King. Cataclysm is not Classic. Just leave it alone. What do you guys think is going to be the percentage of people who are actually going to play Cataclysm? Because I don't think it's going to be nearly as many people who are going to who played Wrath of the Lich King. Like, more people are playing original Vanilla right now. Burning Crusade servers are dead. Wrath of the Lich King servers are slowly bleeding out. And I guarantee you no one's going to give a shit about Cataclysm because more people care about Season of Discovery, which is Classic Plus, than any of this other stuff. People are enjoying the original concept being innovated on. Yeah, so that's Cataclysm. Yeah. Now, albeit that the cinematic for Mr. Pandaria was kind of a bit weird and not quite what people expected, I think Mr. Pandaria was actually on par with Wrath of the Lich King. Mr. Pandaria had some of the best innovations of storytelling, questing, random idle stuff you could do. Throne of Thunder and Siege of Orgrimmar were some of the best designed raids I've ever done. And that's not even to... Like, early Mr. Pandaria was kind of and the reliance on legendary gear at the end was kind of blah. But this was some of the best times I've had in World of Warcraft, because this was also the time that the guild that I was running turned hardcore. And this is when we started doing server third and server second kills. We never got server first because there was a guild that was literally one of the top ones in the world in that server, but, you know, that is what it is. And yes, the Jack Black reference of pandas, smiley face.
To ask why we fight.
I don't think this cinematic did the expansion much justice, unfortunately. It was cool, but...
It is in their nature.
Yeah.
Perhaps there is a better question.
And you want to know why people didn't like this? Because most people who played World of Warcraft had never played Warcraft or read the books. So most of them didn't understand what Pandarans were. So when they saw fluffy Pandarans, they were like, no, my Warcraft! Where's all my grittiness gone? I don't want to be a furry. Which probably didn't help with the Worgen being put in Cataclysm. I mean, it's, like, cinematically, this was a good cinematic. Also, I love the fact that they designed this guy after one of the other lead developers the voice actor for Garrosh, not Garrosh, friggin' Thrall. Oh, what's his name? Chris Metzen, yeah. Like, Chris Metzen, but you know what? The fact that Chris Metzen has come back to Blizzard now makes me hope that there's gonna be a future for Blizzard. But, yeah. Just so you know, they designed this guy after Chris Metzen's actual face. Even though he'll always be Thrall to me. Daddy. Really pretty though, really pretty. Also, the dungeoning in Mr. Pandaria was great as well. Microsoft's owned by Blizzard. Yeah, I don't think Blizzard. The only thing that Microsoft might do that might be good for Blizzard is that they might put World of Warcraft on the Game Pass. If they do, WoW might have a second wind. Also, this is when Hearthstone started, so you know, you give and take what you get from that, I guess. Beat him up, get him. Dong. Good fight though. Oh no, Jack Black! He's gonna skadoosh ya. Whoosh. The first time the Horde and the Alliance work together. Haha, haha! It's really cool that we have goofy fun stuff in our World of Warcraft, right guys? Disney moment. That was kind of funny though. Guys, Kung Fu Hustle. Yeah. Mr. Pandaria was a great expansion, but the cinematic was probably one of the most lacking, I'd say.
Family. To preserve balance.
It's okay.
And bring
it still looks good, but yeah. Great expansion, very mid-cinematic.
For my kind, the true question is,
what's for dinner?
Is worth fighting for?
Rule 34. And now we start getting into the realm of controversy, because it was around this time that people were starting to question, Blizzard, are you okay? Has Bobby Kotick put that butt plug just a bit too far up and on too high of a setting? Because, oh boy. I mean, this cinematic was great. And, you know, Warlords of Draenor, in terms of raiding, Warlords of Draenor was great. Like, hard content had never been harder. But the problem was, everything else was... Yeah. If you didn't raid, you were kind of fucked. If you didn't raid, like, you'd log on for your raids would be good. But then when you weren't raiding, there was nothing to do. And I will say as well, Hellfire Citadel is to this day one of my other favorite raids. Up there with Siege of Orgrimmar, Throne of Thunder, Ulduar and such like.
Drink, Hellscream.
Like, that entire Tanaan jungle was just the best area of the entire expansion.
Conquerors.
Also, This was where they uncorked the very dangerous bottle of alternate universes and timelines. And the second you start playing with that, you lose any weight to anything. Because all of a sudden, oh, well, Vol'jin died. I guess we'll just bring him back in a time loop. Or, I don't know, alternate universe. Woo!
Gul'dan. Must we give in return?
Everything.
Everything.
Oh, no! You dare pour out the special sauce?
Reject this gift.
Yeah. There he is.
And did you bring these mongrels here?
Pit Lord Daddy.
To watch you die?
The only one who's going to be dying around here is you. You better have an umbrella, because we're going to rain hellfire upon you.
It's just a bunch of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey nonsense, really. Like, I do love the idea of divergent timelines, like figuring out what ifs kind of thing, right? And I guess they did do it pretty decently with this one. It was definitely an improvement on the cinematics of Mr. Pandaria. Push it! Beyblade! Gonna let it rip, gonna fall down, kaboom. Harder, daddy. Oh no, he coomed. And I will say, what they did with Gul'dan, bringing him back in, like, one really great thing that happened from this, bringing Gul'dan back into the narrative was great. This guy, I loved his kind of villain arc. If this guy was the peak of the plot, and the whole, the peak, the tip of the villain arc ended with Gul'dan, then I would have been very happy.
This was not our destiny.
My destiny is my own.
Times change.
That's my war chief. I stand by this day. Garrosh did nothing wrong. Garrosh did nothing wrong. Certainly better war chief than Thrall ever bloody was.
We will never be slaves.
Yeah, what they did to Garrosh in Shadowlands, they fucked so many good characters in Shadowlands. Garrosh went out like a bitch. Arthus went out like a bitch. They turned Varian into more of a pussy than he already was.
Conquerors.
Yeah, and he was, like, Garrosh was one of the most consistent characters they ever released in World of Warcraft as well. Like, they never changed him for any, like, branding or anything. Just a very, very great characters, and it just baffles me they did. Like, Shadowlands was the epitome of how much can we fuck up the cinematics. Because after Warlords of Draenor was a great expansion for so many different reasons, but it was also the one of two faults. It was either terrible or great. And honestly, I loved it more than I hated it. The parts that were great were great. The parts that were terrible were just absolutely abysmal. But to be fair, it did then lead to the best expansion after, like, Legion. Like, from what I can say, there was never really a bad expansion up to Legion. And it usually went good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. And now it's just bad. But Legion was great. And the lead up to it as well was phenomenal. like this bonus little cinematic. They didn't do just one cinematic Legion, they did 2. Technically 3 if you count one of the other ones. And they brought back my boy. Like, talk about a great combo of villain arcs, great enemy types, great villain types with sort of pseudo villain, pseudo good guys. Not what's it called? Oh, what's the term for it? Not a good guy, not a bad guy, but a, you know what I mean. Like, this cinematic took people so by shock. Anti-villain, yes, thank you. Anti-hero. Like, because when this came out, no one really considered what was going to happen, right? But when they saw him traipse around, I remember watching this with my guild when it came out. We were all sat around, we were waiting for the cinematic to drop, and we were like, what's he doing? And then we saw this, and we were like, oh! We all we all simultaneously shit and pissed and coomed everywhere. Bam, 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 bam. Yeah, dude, that's so good. And again, cinematic for Legion, mwah, chef's kiss. This cinematic right here, equal parts epic,
My son.
equal parts glorious storytelling.
A terrible darkness has returned
And
to our
Varian.
world.
Varian Rin. If I did play Alliance, you would be a king I would salute. You badass. You absolute badass.
As before, it seeks to
Varian Rin slaps your girlfriend's ass. What do? You salute and say, thank you, my king.
annihilate everything that we hold dear. I go to face it, knowing I may not return.
Also, his backstory is legitimately the most gritty thing you'll ever read.
They're coming!
Yeah, trying to get Makari to read for their education. Nah, mate, not happening. Trying to get me to read to learn about the lore of a character from a fantasy world. Yeah, dude, get out those friggin' 15-chapter novels. And here we see where the problems began. Oh boy.
All my life I have lived by the sword. I've seen kingdoms burn
Also, these
and
Zeppelins are
watched
so
brave
cool.
heroes die in vain.
Yes, my dude,
Been
this is the world of
difficult
Warcraft.
for me to trust after losing so much.
Also, from this point on, the Horde and Alliance should never have clashed again. It's this point that the Horde and Alliance, there was no reason other than money that the Horde and Alliance, like, by the Battle for... Like, I would understand if maybe there was a minor clash later, but at this stage, the Horde and Alliance should not be fighting. And any Horde and Alliance combat was just circumstantial and just completely unnecessary. Like, at this point, people didn't care about the Battle of the Horde and the Alliance. It was just overplayed, overdone, and boring.
But from you,
And so this was
learned
fucking cool.
patience,
Seeing the Horde and
tolerance,
Alliance working together for the first time,
and
mwah.
faith.
Also, this is when Sylvanas actually had my respect. This was the Sylvanas we all loved and appreciated. And again, another character that could have been amazing, had the potential for being awesome, but when Shadowlands came around, they didn't know what they were doing with her. Like, they changed her polarity so heavily. There it is.
Open fire!
I'll open fire on something for you, my king. Oh, goodness. She's going down! Put all power to the reverse engines! Engage anti-polarity grab guns! We're going down, Captain! I'm giving her all she's got! Yeah, dude. That's my Batty Queen. Oh, that's how you catch my king. I wish that Sylvanas and Varian would have had a beautiful, beautiful baby. The captain goes down with the ship. They turned her into a Mary Sue, Ariana. They just sabotaged her character entirely. Plot convenience for nothing more than selling the game. Because they couldn't come up with a new villain, so they just ruined everyone's nostalgia.
Anduin.
Yes, Anduin, sink to the bottom of the ocean and never come back. Never come back, Anduin. We never want to see you again. If only you could have done this in physical state rather than just as a watch.
I now believe, as you do, that peace is the noblest aspiration. But to preserve it, you
My
must
king.
be willing to fight.
Yeah! Kick ass! Na 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 na.
For Azeroth!
Yes, my dude. Yes! Now, for the sake of really showing why this expansion was the best, I need to show you a couple of the cinematics that were there amidst this expansion. Because Legion had some of the best storytelling through in-game cinematics of any of them. So, there's a couple of cinematics I really want to show from this expansion. This is probably the only time I'm going to do this, but I want to show this because it expresses why this is so good. This intro cinematic into Legion is what you get when you first picked up the expansion. And this is when the in-game cinematics really started kicking off so hard. Also, fucking Vol'jin, why? This right here, this freaking spear, that was when the seeds of despair were implanted within the story. This right here is what led to what everyone hated. Yeah, this should never have happened. Blizzard ruined things. Like, this was so unnecessary. It could have been done well, but it started the catastrophic shambles that led to everything else. Yeah, Bastard, thank you for the resub, dude.
Hey, Komatsu, your
Brother, I am here.
God, you know, the Horde, they had really nice Zeppelins, but these airships were so cool. I was always envious of the Alliance.
Get everyone to the gunship.
Everyone, fall back!
How's Nitro? How's it going, dude? Thank you again. Yeah, so somebody in my chat just said something that's very poetic to this. It's the element of killing the plot development of the previous movie that makes it. This is something that Final Fantasy does so much better. Every single expansion in World of Warcraft is very hyperbolic. The thing that makes Final Fantasy so much more enjoyable and engaging is that one expansion just leads into another. It's all very cyclical. World of Warcraft, when you get into one expansion, everything that happened is almost completely forgotten. Which is probably why what they're doing now with the War Within is rather than doing one expansion episodically, they're now doing one big story across multiple expansions, which works so much better for keeping people engaged. Like, I'm okay with Varian dying here. I'm actually okay with it. Because if you are going to kill off a character, this is how you do it. This sets up a lot of precedent for future stuff. This gives room for more. But I would still prefer them not to have killed him. It's almost like they killed Vol'jin and were like, hey, we have to kill another character. Actually, maybe even the other way around. Maybe they knew they were going to kill Varian, and they were like, well, the Horde have to lose someone as well.
Varian!
Oh, happy birthday, Arian eye. But dude, this right here. This right here.
Take this to my son.
This is how you send out a character. Na, 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 na. Yes! What an absolute god of a character. That's my king. Takes out an entire Mega Fel Reaver. Good shit. I say this about Gul'dan as well earlier, but Gul'dan is one of the best written villains because he's just epitomately a villain. Unapologetically a villain. With some of the best villain archetypes you could have for a character. It's stereotypical, but it works. Like, he's the kind of villain you'd get from a Batman movie, right? But for the kind of goofiness that is World of Warcraft, it works. Like, the Skeletor of World of Warcraft. I'll get you next time, Batman!
Be remembered as the king who sacrificed his life for nothing.
For the Alliance.
For the Alliance.
And they disenchanted him. Like, if you do have to send out a generational character like that, that's how you do it. F's in the chat to pay respects. But there's one more cinematic in this one. There's one more cinematic. Which speaks strobes about Blizzard's ability to put across character and feeling. And this cinematic right here, it was at the point in Legion that was a bit like, eh. But this right here was peak Illidan.
Hello there.
Like, talk about, like, breaking the conventions of what you would expect a, like, you know, like, chosen one story to be. Like, this to me is when Blizzard really still cared. And yeah, exactly. This was the cinematic that made you question everything that you knew before. Like, is the light really good? Or is it just a point of view?
We are blessed to be in your presence once
Hi, Darth
more,
Food, thank you for following.
Zira.
Turalian,
You are a bitch.
you have found the chosen one.
You have a small pee-pee.
Illidan. From birth, the light in your eyes held such promise for the future.
And then you started watching VTubers, and we had to take your eyes away as punishment.
I sacrificed that birthright long ago.
Do you not wish to reclaim what was lost?
Nope.
To be whole again?
Too busy enjoying gacha games and Genshin Impact.
The Legion's end is all I see.
And it's, you know what, it's kind of a telling thing. Illidan is one of the most simplest characters in all of World of Warcraft, and yet he's one of the most interesting. He has two modes. One, kill the Legion, and two, kill everything. And I don't know why Blizzard lost this ability of telling a character's story simply, rather than turning it into a convoluted mess. But just
Don't.
fuck a duck, dude. Illidan to me was the last line of Blizzard's originality.
My child,
Oh yes, and third, losing to
You've
Arthus.
given so much for so little. Your true potential, your redemption, lies before you.
Yes, the Naru
Let
don't
go
understand
of your
consent.
shattered form
We're going
and
to make you the
embrace
chosen one. What if I say
light's
no?
Power.
I've traded my freedom for power before.
The
Yes,
prophet-
which is the appropriate reaction. Like, talk about staying consistent. This is ultimately Illidan, right? Same with Garrosh. They are consistent with their character traits. They're not like, ah, yeah, I'm the chosen one. We're gonna fucking do it. Nah, that's not how that works. Illidan has never once shown that he's interested in being the chosen one. His overarching element of freedom and choice, it makes entire sense why this happens.
Must be fulfilled.
This was so cool.
Your old life has passed. The light will forge you a new one.
It is not yours to take.
Say it with me now, guys. Say it with me.
Will heal your scars.
I am my scars.
The light is your destiny.
My destiny is my own.
Oh god, shivers. Dude, when I saw this with my guild originally, we all, again, coomed everywhere. That was, we were expecting some things. We did not expect that. That right there, I don't think Blizzard have ever made a jaw-dropping anime, like, scene like that again. And yes, it's still to this day sends shivers down my spine. And like a really subtle little bit of storytelling, when the Naru dies there, gets ill-exploded, you notice that his light in his eyes fades. Like, just a very subtle little bit of storytelling. And he loses the light. Which explains why he's now a pussy.
Betrayer! Your faith has
Illidan's such a badass.
blinded
I hope we get him back one day.
you. There can be no chosen one. Only we can save ourselves.
Literally the only character in all of that expansion that made sense. Oh my gosh, that expansion though, my god. I might do a separate video for like the Warbringers sometimes, because some of these are really good, but I'm very, very aware that we've already been watching this for almost an hour. So we'll stick to the cinematics, and I might do Warbringers separately sometime. Excuse me. Although, if you guys haven't seen Warbringer, Jaina's Warbringer, this song, I'm not gonna put this in the video. So editor, edit this bit out. But this right here, this to me was when Blizzard really cared about their storytelling, and was really disappointing because they set up Battle for Azeroth to be really fun. People were kind of bored of Horde versus Alliance, but with the way they were setting it up, it was gonna be like, oh, that's really cool. But this was the first expansion where people really lost their shit with Blizzard. But this song though.
Beware, I heard him cry. His words carried upon the ocean breeze as he sank beneath the tide.
I do hate Jaina though. I really hate Jaina.
Those blood-soaked shores of Kalimdor, where sailors fought and died, the admiral fell at their own.
You know, I do agree, there were some good things about Battle for Azeroth, but overall it was a bit of a flop for me, I'm afraid.
Left his side.
Thanks for the Welly. some good things about Battle for Azeroth, but it was kind of eh. Like the Azeroth kid, the Azerite kid was the biggest fucking annoyance for me. Good concept, terribly executed. Some of the raids were nice. I will say Blizzard raids are generally never bad.
But there he found upon those distant shores enemies on the rise. But when he faced those savage hordes,
Yeah, at this stage, Morgan, you're not wrong. At this stage, the artists were the people keeping this game afloat.
stood aside
Get it? Afloat. Boats.
and buried deep beneath the waves, betrayed by family. To his nation with his last breath cried, beware the daughter of the sea.
Like, this was the equivalent of the Fortuna song from Warframe. Completely unnecessary, but everyone loved it. Beware, and we all live, together. Yeah. Any whore. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. And now we get to the part there I start losing my cool. I'm going to try and avoid talking shit about these next expansions, but the cinematics are nice at least, so you know it is what it is. Moving on to quite possibly the expansion that was universally slated, that people really didn't like, but hey. Oh, the Horde and Alliance are fighting each other. What a concept. Wow.
Wars is a cycle of hatred. Alliances forged and broken. We have paid the price for sharing this
Sylvanas was
world.
still kind of cool here. Yeah, no, Sylvanas
And
hadn't been
we
completely
have
tainted yet.
forgotten what makes us strong.
Yeah, this was a very good cinematic. Unnecessary, but good. Lily, thank you for the resubs.
Right. Advance has won. Lordaeron will be ours.
Great. This is how you do a single note character really badly. I get that Greymane has his tripences, but whereas the other single note characters learnt, this guy was so stuck in his ways that it felt like I was watching paint dry.
My king.
But he was a furry, so
we have
yay.
her cornered.
Keep firing!
My Sylvanas. Yeah, this is when she was still kind of cool. Why? YouTube content? We're reacting, you know, getting some of that clout farming. Ah, there's my war chief. Sour Fang, Sour Fang, Sour Fang. Just cast Revive on him. You know, just cast Revive. Easy. Just pop a heal on him. There she goes. She's doing a badass move. Did a little flip, a little somersault, doing a little boogie. That right there sent shivers down my spine. That was possibly the most anime thing that Blizzard had ever done. And funnily enough, it parallels really well with the end of the last expansion with Varian going for the Alliance. animation. True, though. True. Also, I think this is the longest cinematic they made. Insert Saving Private Ryan ear-ringing moment. Yeah, literally Saving Private Ryan tinnitus ear-ringing moment. Young Brad Pitt. You know, this is when I liked Anduin. He wasn't a friggin' Mary Sue. This is when Anduin was a goddamn badass. This is when we were like, ah, yeah, maybe he will be living up to his father's name. Manduin, yeah! Oh no, they brought the furry back.
Stand as one!
Also, I find it woefully upsetting that they gave the obvious priest plate armor. He is not a paladin. He actually spec'd into priest. And it upsets me.
For the Alliance!
Good cinematic. Very good cinematic. I love it. All right. We're going to avoid watching the Warbringer stuff. I'm probably going to save that for a separate video in of itself, just because I realize this is getting quite long already. So, there are some other cinematics that came between, but at this point, I don't particularly care, and I realize the time, so we're going to focus on the actual cinematics for the time being. With the actual longest cinematic, an amazing cinematic that set us all up for something that could have been amazing, but this is when Blizzard were like, how do we shit the bed as hard as possible? And the thing is, there were some things in Shadowlands that were really cool, like the concept of Torghast, a roguelike in World of Warcraft, awesome. It was actually fun. I would legitimately sometimes just do Torghast for the sake of it.
A monument to our suffering.
And for a bit of context, just so you know, Shadowlands had its entire concept changed very shortly before it went live. Because originally, the Rune Carver, the leader of the Hydraxian people, the undead guys. Yeah, the Rune Carver was supposed to be the main overarching villain. And friggin' Sylvanas was like, if you look at the original trailer they did for Shadowlands, you can see that it was the Rune Carver that she was stood in front of. And then they like changed it at the last minute, and well, this is because the entire reason why Sylvanas is like this is because she suddenly became aware that she's gonna die and she was afraid of death. So she jumped off the top of Icecrown, died, saw nothing, somehow got brought back to life because MacGuffins, and then made a pact with the jailer. So yeah. This is when they sabotaged her character to make her an OP girl boss.
Between life and death.
And you know, the way this cinematic goes, I don't mind that she's powerful.
Sits on a frozen
Because there was a lot of potential here. And watching Bolvar come back into it, oh my god.
But no king rules forever.
There he is, my boy. He wasn't as powerful as Arthus, but my god, this guy knew how to rule a lich. Dude, seeing this, I remember I watched a stream of a live debuting of this cinematic, and when everyone saw Bolvar, everyone went, oh, like the room was silent. Everybody was excited for this. And that hammer! This is also when they start getting very, very coy with the lore of the game. Like, I wouldn't deny that Bolvar would have a pretty good fight against regular Sylvanas, but Bolvar is literally one of the powerful creatures in all of this dimension. It should not have been one-sided. Sylvanas should have at least struggled in this fight. Yeah, Sylvanas was definitely cheating. Had aim hacks turned on. This is what happens when you donate $10,000 to your favorite ASMR streamer and they don't want to marry you.
Went out like a bitch.
If the fight was longer and more energetic, it would have been cool. But you know what? I will say, this part, like them setting up the expectations in its own little hyperbolic section, this cinematic is fucking awesome.
Are unfit to wear.
Because the second she removes that crown, everybody knows that she's going to try and put it on.
Crown.
At least that's the expectation.
To wield.
And everyone's like biting their fingers like, oh god, she's gonna be the Lich King. Oh my god, she's gonna be the next Arthus. Oh my god, the irony considering Arthus killed her. Oh.
Power will be your prison.
This world is my prison.
Is a prison.
Emo! Like, I remember hearing one of my friends audibly gasp when they saw this next part. This bit right here. This bit threw us all for a loop. This bit right here is how you pull the rug from under people. But inadvertently, it's also how you shit on the heritage of your game. Like, if you're going to diminish something that has been the generational aspect of your game, there better be a good goddamn reason for it. And definitely not turned into a McDonald's, Burger King crown later down the line. Butthole clenched. That right there is a perfect allegory for Blizzard taking a dump on the lore. Any remnants of the original story just got separated in half.
Free.
That right there, though, looks fucking cool. This cinematic was so so polarized. Cinematically, it was great. But for the implications of what it meant, it was like, no, why? And yeah, then Shadowlands was what it was, and it was kind of and whatever, but hey. And lo and behold, we then have the final one, which honestly, I don't mind Dragonlands. I think Dragonlands is an acceptable expansion. I haven't played much of it, neither do I particularly care. And the cinematic was basically as Disney could be. So Dragonflight. I actually thought Dragonflight's pretty good.
The world has been sundered.
And the cinematic's pretty damn good as well.
It cries out in pain.
Sorry, Shadowlands has pilled me so hard.
We must go to its aid. We entrust our ancestral home to you.
Hi, Bursty. What's up, guys?
The Watchers.
I love the fact they bring in the Watchers again. Like the people who made Ulthuar and all that jazz. Seeing these guys come back in was so cool.
Let the land slumber.
Exactly, Gray. But you know, the question of what happens now that there's no Lich King with all the undead? Yeah, isn't that such a question? Isn't that a great convenient plot hole that Blizzard have conveniently forgot to talk about? Because they don't give a shit about their own lore.
Eyes, you will feel our return in the waking of the land. Then, you must light the beacon of
Manbot
Tyr,
power saving mode.
lest the path home be lost to us forever.
Average moment when you say you're going for a 5-minute nap and wake up 10,000 years later. Dude, I wake up from a 5-minute nap and I'm freaking cranky as fuck. How the hell he wakes up after 10,000 years and isn't instantly clamoring for a coffee? The no head? Does have to be said, though. You know how earlier I mentioned that Blizzard, nobody ever stole anything from Blizzard again? Yeah, every single thing that Blizzard have made in the last, like, 5 or 6 years has been an homage, parody, or satire of something else that some other people have done. The amount of, like, cinematics that have been a ripoff of Lord of the Rings or some other movie, it's kind of upsetting. Bum 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 bum. Lord of the Rings moment. Oh, mate. See, that's what happens when you don't tip the Uber driver. Like, design-wise, this stuff is awesome. And again, I do like Dragonflight. I think it's a pretty decent expansion comparatively. Certainly a breath of fresh air from Shadowlands. Yeah, I mean, let's not beat around the bush. Blizzard clearly only treat World of Warcraft as their money grub at this point. Oh no! You forgot to install your 4090 correctly, idiot. This is why you don't run a 4090 with only 6 GB of RAM. I've only just met this stony Jeffrey, but if anything happens to Jeffrey, I will shit and piss everywhere. I have more emotional connection with this man than I do Sylvanas. Man, I guess you could say he's pretty stoned, though. Yeah, he's pretty rock hard, isn't he, mate? Yeah, Thor from Infinity War, again, no original idea in Blizzard's head. Why do something themselves? Other people have done it for them. Yeah, he did it, and now he's gonna die. For the greater good. But wait, furries! There's an unspoken thing I just want to say, by the way. You know it, and I know it. Blizzard are very well aware that the majority of their funding comes from suspiciously wealthy furries. Why do you think there is an overabundance of furry bait? Volpera, Worgen, Torren, Scalies. The amount... Like, Blizzard are very self-aware how much money antisocial, neurodivergent shut-ins are. Furries and nerd culture people don't go outside to spend their money. So they've got a lot of disposable income. So what better way to capitalize on that than to pander your entire IP to those people with lots of disposable income? And I know, I can tell you, because I know, I have friends who have said this, who are furries. that the entire reason they play this game is because they can be their cute little foxy persona, uwu. If they made Draenei Horsecock canon, they'd be funded forever. Not wrong! Especially if they gave the female Draenei that horsecock like everyone seems to assume they have. I don't think I've ever seen Draenei Rule 34 with a female Draenei that doesn't have a horsecock. I'm just saying.
The world is healing. But her fate is yet uncertain.
Avatar moment.
Together, we shall be Azeroth's protectors once
This event was kind of cool. You know?
Here, the new
It was nice that
age
everything kind of returned to
dragons
Azeroth.
shall begin.
It was pretty cool. Yeah, I like cinematic. It was definitely a good cinematic. And now we come to the part where everyone has questions for the future. And I'll say, like visually, I didn't think Blizzard could make their cinematics better. This is spectacular. And it's really weird as well. This is like the first cinematic that's quite slow-paced. Because nothing actually happens in this cinematic. And I suppose that is to kind of set things up for the future, because this is when things were getting ready for their new trilogy they're making. I'm not going to watch all of this because it's really bland. So all I'll do is I'll show you the beginning because they're really good at showing expression and emotion. But PTSD Anduin here has clearly seen some shit. I guess that if nothing else, you can say that Blizzard are at least trying to do something new. Like, for so long, we were all like really concerned that Blizzard were just not trying to do anything innovative anymore. But the fact they're trying,
we don't get to hide.
especially with like Classic Plus and everything, kind of nice.
You needed time.
And one benefit, Chris Metzen, Chris motherfucking Metzen, back in the goddamn, yeah. Goddamn Chris back in the saddle. I'm so happy they got him back. This is why I'm saying there might be a future for Blizzard with Chris back in the saddle. And bringing goddamn Thrall away from being Green Jesus was the best decision they ever did.
Stayed away. But time by itself heals nothing.
I have no idea what the second game you mentioned is, Mego. But thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream.
You didn't just come here for me. It's the visions. You've seen them.
Yes, I too
I
did too much
suspect
ecstasy
many
last night.
Okay. Something. Someone is calling out.
I suppose it's
from the
kind of
heart
fitting
the world.
that this cinematic is so differently paced.
Voice from a dream.
Because I think they're trying to make you realize that things are changing, right? That they're not doing the same thing over and over again. And I think if Blizzard is going to have a future of World of
Something
Warcraft,
dark is coming, Anduin.
trying to have the story be told over multiple expansions is the way to do it.
World
Final
needs
Fantasy
your light
taught them that at
again.
least.
My son.
I will give this cinematic one thing. The level of emotion and the Arthus pose. Yeah, dude, the Arthus pose. It's a shame he hadn't deserved it, though.
I am not that person anymore.
Even though you're shadowing it.
I have no light. Not after what I've seen. Not after what I've done.
See, this is the path that Sylvanas should have had.
Not your
Sylvanas had no, like, Sylvanas got her ass beat and was like, oh yeah, you know all those people that I murdered, yeah, sorry about that. You know, no, just sitting there going, shit, dude, I'm kind of a bitch.
Anduin.
Tag, you're it.
I trust you.
And the music. Ah! ASMR streamers!
They're getting worse.
Yeah, brain tumors will do that.
Look. Whatever's coming, I'll stand with you. Of course I will. But we were drawn here by the voice. Who is it, Thrall? Who's
Gee,
calling
I
out to us?
wonder.
I'm not sure yet. But that sword was aimed at someone.
What are they looking at? What sword? I don't see a sword. What sword? Huh? What? And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is the final cinematic. I realized this video went on for far too long, but World of Warcraft was a franchise I had a lot of passion for, and these cinematics were baller, even if the expansions they came with were kind of shit. So, if you guys like this, please let me know in the comments. If you want to see me do more of these like cinematic experiences where we get to experience an entire brand, then I'd love to know. Otherwise, drop by the Twitch side of things. I don't know, say for the Elites or for the Horde in the comments down below, or call me an idiot. I don't know. So just do the things the algorithm asks you to. And I'll see all of you Warcrafters in the next video. I'm having a stroke. Help. Bye.